to Grey County Life at Home in 2021. Hokey doodle, never thought we'd see that day, did we? How are you, Miss Mary Jane?
Well, Ron, I'm doing just fine, and it is quite a welcome to 2021.
It has, gotta say, the last year, I was thinking about that actually the other day. These were the couple of months where we kind of had inklings of what was coming, but I don't think, and of course, nobody expected 2020 to turn out the way it was, and March 17th for this province-wide or nationwide lockdown that we went into, and now, of course, back into it. Interesting. I don't know how other people feel about it. It doesn't feel to me like we had any reprieve from it, to be honest. I mean, it's certainly changed life for sure in all aspects, but didn't really, I don't know, I didn't feel like we got a big Yahoo summer out of it, and away from it, to be honest. But I guess that's maybe a good thing, is that we're just adjusting and coping with it and making our lives kind of work around it, which is a good thing.
Well, I think the best of a difficult situation is always a healthier way of trying to deal with it and finding the joys where we can and being grateful for what we actually have. And I think that's important for people to try and find the bright side in some of the small things. One of the things that I was just reading in the newspaper was a retrospective by David Shearman in the Sun Times in terms of how our community has come together to work with people who were struggling. And you have the United Way, you have Y Employment Services looking for housing, looking for employment. 172 people who were homeless were now housed into homes. And of course, O'Share and the food bank and Safe and Sound, how they all came together. We also have the larger community of Grey and Bruce with 34 meal outlets, whether through a pantry or through a church or through a food bank. 34 came together. So throughout Grey and Bruce, they've done 100,000 meals, whether they were delivered or picked up. And O'Share, just in Owen Sound, has done 65,000 meals in 2020. Now, in 2019, they did 21,000. And in 2020, it was bumped up to 65,000. And so
that number is staggering in our little community. And I mean, the numbers have been increasing each year without the pandemic, without all these extra things that people are dealing with. But 65,000, that is just mind-boggling. And that they've coordinated with the Salvation Army, I think you were saying?
The Salvation Army and Safe and Sound. Yeah. So the three organizations within Owen Sound have come together to work together through this, which is, I mean, that collaboration is absolutely essential to be able to support people who are struggling to feed their families. And I think that it is a credit to our community how innovative and how cooperative the agencies are. And they are all working together with United Way and with Y Services as well. So I think that it just speaks to the generosity of the organizations and how committed they are to supporting our community. And I think that David used the word gratitude. Now, David Shearman is a host on Rogers TV, but he is also writes articles in the Sun Times, and I think that he captured very well with the word gratitude. And if we can carry that forward in 2020, in 2021.
That's the first time. Oh, it's going to be a mess, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So, and I know that there are a lot of people struggling and may find it very difficult to find any kind of gratitude in their lives right now. However, we just need to push forward and take care of each other.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I mean, I myself, you know, those, that little, what is it, gerbil track, or what are the little circles that the hamsters go through, a hamster wheel or whatever it is, that little mind gets racing around and thinking about all the challenges that there are. But the moment I try to focus on what I'm grateful for, my whole mindset does a shift. So I'm a firm believer in trying every day to be grateful and to think about the good things that we do have, the relationships that we do share. And, there are so many different ways to still reach out to people and stay connected. And people just have to remind themselves every day.
Well, I think leaning towards the grateful has an effect on your body as well, because it does actually start to lower your blood pressure and your stress level. And there's lots of things that we can do to try and mitigate our stress levels, and that's one of the ways of keeping us healthy, is to focus on what we can be grateful for. And right now, I'm grateful for the fact that our roads are clear, and that if you have to drive to get your groceries or your medical appointments or anything like that, we don't have winter storms going on right now, and we have dry roads to get into town if you need to, or to get around. So I mean, it's just those little small things that when I have to grocery shop at 7 o'clock in the morning, knowing that I'm not having to drive into town in a blizzard, to me, and I just, the blood pressure just goes down and everything relaxes, and I'm on my little journey to find food.
And yet at the same time, it's so nice that we've got some snow on the ground. I know that lots of kids and families are taking advantage of the little bit of snow that we do have and going tobogganing and walking in the woods. And people are still, that reminds me, we are still enjoying the Festival of Northern Lights, and it's been extended until January the 17th, which I think is so awesome. I wish they did that every year, because myself, it's the month of January that is dark and cold and dreary, because we don't have the Christmas celebration still to look forward to. And we're just faced with winter in Grey Bruce, which can be challenging, as you said. But so the Festival of Northern Lights up until January 17th, if you haven't had a chance to go down and enjoy that, and with this nice mild weather, it's a lovely way to spend the evening. I think it's actually just a great thing that our community is doing there.
Well, I was just very grateful to the Festival of Northern Lights to extending that. But today I was also reading information from the Ministry of Indigenous, the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs, because January is Spirit Moon. And it's a time to just honor the silence of January and the path within, honoring the great mysteries of creatures and of life. And I think January is a time when we can kind of just relax from the hustle and bustle, less hustle and bustle of the Christmas season, but is also a time of reflection, a time of silence, and a time to reflect on the spirit moon.
Yeah, that is an amazing thing. Now, I personally, I like to, I do a little bit of silence, but I like music. And I wanted to share, you were saying, doing things that give you joy and a sense of comfort. And so it was after Christmas that I mentioned to my dad that I'm looking to start a small record collection and maybe listen to some music that way. It's old school. It's fun. We've got a few stores. I think it's the Sour Cat Records downtown, and Randy's record store is still there. There's huge clubs and Facebook sites and things where you can get information. So I had mentioned to my dad that I was maybe wanting to buy his turntable because they've got one attached to their system. And I don't even know how you get it all together and if you have to have a receiver and all this stuff. But I was chatting with him about it. And doesn't he show up at my place, at my door, drop off service included? I could not believe it. And he got me this really cool little record player. And I'm just going to lift the lid. I don't know if you can see, but it's a Victorola, and it plays 78s and 45s and 33s. And he even brought me an old record of his, CCR, which was just so cool. So that's how I'm kind of focusing on something that gives me joy and fun and a wee collection and that sort of thing. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. And I also wanted to say I do have Charlie Brown here. I made the mistake of wearing black today. We were discussing that before this show started because I blend into my couch and Charlie blends in and you can't even see him. So, but he is here. But my girlfriend at Christmas actually gave me this pet water bottle. So I'm going to get out in the woods with Charlie a lot more, but this is the coolest little thing. It's like a little water bottle, but the top, you fill up that little top and you hold it down for the dog so that they can have a drink when you're out and about. So yeah, just fun stuff that, you focus on the positive and enjoy your music or your animal or just get out into the woods. We still have lots of places where we can go and give thanks for all the blessings that we have. And the moon spirit moon.
Spirit.
Yes.
I'm back in my comfort zone, back in the kitchen. After all that seasonal baking, we took a couple of weeks off and just kind of a week off and just kind of not spend a lot of time. But over the holiday, I did find a recipe that meets my rules, which is quick, simple, and easy. And I've never made fudge before. That's something that I've never done. But it was so easy. I practiced it. It worked out really well. It's Eagle brand milk, and it's just one container.
And so that's like a sweetened condensed milk?
Sweetened condensed Eagle brand. You just put it in, and it's all done in the microwave. So there's not a lot of between the microwave and the refrigerator. Then you have this delicious, creamy, soft, melt in your mouth chocolate fudge.
Oh, lady.
One pack of chocolate chips. And this is what I mean. It's just so easy. You just dump it in, one package, 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
Now the chocolate chips, Mary Jane, are those sweet milk chocolate or dark chocolate, semi-sweet?
Well, this was a recipe from the stay-at-home chef. And she indicated that there was lots of variations that you could do. I like dark chocolate. So these are dark chocolate chips because that's my favorite. My husband likes milk chocolate, but hey, I'm the cook today. So you just mix that up and then pop over to the microwave and pop it in. And you pop it in for 30 seconds. And then in 30 seconds, I'll go back, stir it up a little bit, pop it back in for another 30 seconds. And if the chocolate is all melted and everything is really smooth, then that's all you need. if you, for some reason, your microwave is at different temperatures, you might need to put it in for another 20 seconds or more, and just until it's all nice and smooth and melted.
Yeah.
My
And
spatula.
I guess you don't want to overcook it. I've actually made that mistake with chocolate chips, melting them, and they get kind of, I don't know if they separate somehow when you overcook them in the microwave, which you would think that would be a difficult thing to do. But as my late father-in-law used to always say, Rhonda cooks everything on high. So, you do have to watch these things.
Well, yeah, yes, you do have to be careful. That's for sure. But I have tried different recipes during the lockdown and trying to find different ways of presenting meals that are a little bit different. And I've just had one blooper after another. So we've had some pretty interesting meals and variations, but I like to try new things. And this was one of the surprises that actually worked out.
Well, and I would have to say, I did try I'm sure everybody's familiar with HelloFresh and these different programs or companies that you go online, you pick your menu, and they send it to you by Amazon. It feels like an Amazon delivery. You get this big cardboard box that's got each individual meal in another little brown paper bag. And it's got all the ingredients plus the instructions that you need to make the recipe. And honestly, Emerson cooked all of them. He absolutely loved it. I didn't even go in the kitchen, and they were spectacular. The joy and sense of accomplishment on his face was worth it. Now, I don't know if they're economical, to be honest. I guess if you're a small family, or maybe sometimes two or one person, because they give you the spices and the condiments, everything in the serving size that you need for the recipe. So it's, if you don't want to necessarily go out and buy a whole thing of fresh rosemary at the grocery store, they give you enough for your recipe, and there's always leftovers, to be honest. They're large portions, which is nice. But definitely just something even to try. And I know that there's lots of coupons out there and offers for people to try it. So you just have to be careful and make sure you go in and cancel the subscription, or so that you don't get. It's like one of those things where you get the automatic subscription. So you have to go in and manually stop the subscription so that you're not inundated with lots and lots of food and things that you don't necessarily want. But it was a great thing to experiment with. And then, you still have the recipe card. You can duplicate the recipes at home later.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm just going to lift this for the camera. Hopefully you can see.
Yes, it looks fantastic.
Isn't that? And that was just 2 rounds of 30 seconds each. And then I like nuts. I like people who are nutty, and I like nuts. So
that does explain. Listen, Mary Jane, that explains a lot about our relationship, okay?
So, I'm just gonna, now these are walnuts, and it's just a package, and it just comes right out to a cup.
Perfect.
Some of them escaped on the floor. I will have to look at them later. We don't have a Charlie.
No, yes, I was just going to say that Charlie would look after that in a heartbeat.
So it's just mixing in the nuts. And now the last time I made it, I think I only had half a cup of nuts. This time I put in a cup of nuts.
Oh, go big or go home.
This is going to. And then I have a square pan, and I lined it with parchment paper, and it just makes it easier for taking the fudge out after it's been cut into squares. But I'm just going to put this in the pan and pop it in the fridge. Now, I can't remember for how long, but I think it's at least 2 hours. Because when I popped it in, I just walked away and came back and got it a few hours later. So
if you can wait that long.
Well, you put
it reminds me
in the fridge and then you put all the fresh vegetables in front of it.
Yes, that's a good idea. Hide it. I have to actually give my treats. I get my kids to hide them for me so that I am not tempted. It's terrible. I have absolutely no self-control when it comes to sweets in the house. If I know they're here, they are calling my name the whole time. It's terrible.
Well, I just asked Brian to take it down to the freezer and put it at the bottom. Because if I have to deep dive in the freezer, my legs are up in the air. Yeah. One of the disadvantages of being short, but then, having a husband who is taller and can access the bottom of the freezer is really helpful.
That's very helpful. This reminds me, my dad, he's experimented with fudge over the years. And when I was, gosh, I think maybe 10 or 11, I remember he made fudge and it was in the fridge and it never did set. It just stayed this creamy. So if you went into the fridge and cut a small piece out, the next time you went back to the fridge, it didn't look like anybody had taken any. So I was in my glory thinking, he'll never know.
The advantages.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, those were the days.
Oh, that was so good. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I am jealous, but at the same time, like, oh, yeah, need to get active a little bit and, try to stay on the wagon for a little bit of time. I know that I think that there's a thing, is it a dry January for people? That's a thing that no alcohol for the month of January, or is it February?
It's February.
Okay. Which probably, I don't know if I would agree with that because February is pretty dark and dismal and grapefruits. I think being able to have a glass of wine with dinner is a good thing.
I truly believe that everything in moderation, as it just, then you're not denying yourself anything, but at the same time, you're really thinking about your health and well-being and making sure that we're not gaining a lot in the back end here over
the chipmunk cheeks,
the pandemic. So I think just those basic health rules, you exercise, and you don't have to go, full blown cardio or anything like that, but you want to be doing exercise every day. You want to make sure you've got fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and protein every day. And just, as you say, find your joy in your music. I find my joy in the kitchen, and just, take it one step at a time. But, a glass of wine every once in a while, I think is a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about, leaning towards mental health issues and mental wellness, I believe Monday, January is it the 18th that is Kickoff Monday? It has to do with the programming on, Monday, January 18th is Kickback Monday, Blue Monday. So we have special programming all day in regards to mental health and wellness. So that's a day to remember. And so important in these times when I think mental health was coming to the forefront on its own, which is fabulous. But I think in this last year, it's really, really become a very significant issue for everybody.
Yes, and this whole day programming is going to be on Rogers TV.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the programs are, but I'm sure it's going to be informative and helpful and something to watch for, most definitely. Yeah.
One of the other things that I was looking into just recently, and that is the Owen Sound Waste Watchers, in terms of how, we've gone through this season where we've accumulated a lot of stuff and perhaps a lot of garbage and that sort of thing, and how we can look at things differently in terms of what is disposable garbage for us, whether it's composting or whether it's garbage, and setting things out for recycling. One of the things that I liked about they have an education series, Talking Trash, and I really liked the way it was all laid out. It was really, really straightforward, but it wasn't overwhelming at all. And really what they're doing is they're asking you just to change one thing that you do in reference to the amount of plastics that you are disposing. Just how to change one thing at a time, and to look at, plastics and paper and how you can just work with that within your own environment, just one thing at a time. And I thought they did a really good explanation, and I'm going to tap into all the series that they're putting out.
Yeah, very interesting stuff and great information. And it's so true. I mean, baby steps, people. We're all allowed to take baby steps. So we are going to be signing off. We want to say thanks for joining us in 2021 on Grey County Life at Home. Charlie and I and Mary Jane are so happy to join everybody each week. And if you, as a reminder too, Mary Jane has a new show called Her Story, and it is fabulous. And don't forget to check it out. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And quite proud of Mary Jane and her new venture with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. It's really an honor to be able to connect with very inspiring women and hear their stories. And I am very grateful for the women who have agreed to come on the show. I think that people will really learn a lot about how they got to be leaders in the community and the challenges and barriers that they've overcome.
Absolutely. So we'll see you next week on Grey County Life at Home. Have a fabulous week, everybody.
Bye now.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hi, I'm David Sherman, host of Politically Speaking. My guest for Politically Speaking this week will be the Mayor of Owen Sound, Ian Boddy. Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance,